It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin a Friday, wrapping up a crazy week. Gary, how are you?
Oh, not good.
No, what happened?
Well, it's a Friday night, and well, it's good. It's a Friday, which means Friday night right around the corner, and I guess I'm going to be relegated to just maybe doing some reading and maybe watching some TV with the cat because all these Democrat women are not going to have sex with men.
Yeah, well,
because of what happened. I mean, and so I mean, what am I to do?
Probably the same thing you always do on Friday.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't really change my life at all.
No.
Okay.
And that same thing would include, of course, your favorite DVD, the 4-hour concert of Terry Jacks playing at Berkeley.
We had joy, we had sun, we had seasons in the sun. Goodbye, Michelle. It's hard to die.
I heard that at a restaurant one time. I'm like, are you trying to get us to leave? Why would you? What is going on?
What an uplifting song. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Just the entertainment on X right now is just absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, it's just
it is.
It's these Democrat women. The best response I saw, and so I'm holding back sex. I'm not going to have a sex. I'm not going to have sex. Don't come near me. One of the first responses was, "Oh, good, you're not going to get an abortion. We win."
Exactly. Don't come near me. By the way, what I'm wondering is, are you saying you just sleep with random Trump voters? Or is your boyfriend or significant other a Trump supporter? I mean, this sounds like something going on in your life that you probably shouldn't be sharing.
Yeah, because I guess if we men got on there and said, "That's it, I'm not going to have sex with these women anymore." People would say, "Well, are you promiscuous? What's going on here?" I mean, it's
yeah. Well, it's because it's like they were talking to a group, all men or any men who supported Trump. I mean, my question is,
were you having
was that happening
before the election? Were you having sex with Trump men?
Right.
Trump men that support Trump. I mean, was this your thing? I hate you. I love you. I hate you. I love you.
Well,
I want you.
It's just so bizarre.
I don't want you.
Are you not even having a conversation with the person? I mean, or is it just like kind of random? Someone just knocks on the door. You open the door. He's wearing a MAGA hat. Nope. Close the door.
And then,
I mean, that sounds, honestly, maybe you need a little more intimacy in your life where you go out and maybe go for a walk, maybe have some lunch.
Talk. Read.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it was more than one. Nose ring, lip ring, tattoos.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm not going to have sex with you. Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no.
I guess that's my loss, right?
Please,
or whatever.
Don't cut off your hair. That makes you more attractive to me. No.
Right.
Now I really want you.
Right. Bright blue hair shouldn't be on the floor.
Oh, I got the memes. I think somebody superimposed on the Peace Bridge outside of Buffalo, and it was all these women with blue hair, going across the Peace Bridge to Canada.
Right.
It's like, and did you see the Bette Midler thing?
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention until yesterday on that one. Apparently she said, She put on some X post that if Trump wins, she's going to drink bleach or something.
Well, this is what I was talking about yesterday. It's Drano, but I think
Drano, Drano, right.
And I was talking about it yesterday with, I think it was her Instagram account, actually, I think. She may have posted it on X as well. I don't know if she's on X, but shockingly, I don't follow Bette Midler on social media. I have to wait for something to rise to the top of the news cycle to actually learn about it. But there was a picture she posted, apparently on her Instagram account, and it looked like it was in like maybe a refrigerator door, and there was on the left a bottle of champagne with a yellow sticky note that said, "If Kamala wins," all right, on the champagne bottle. Next to it, a Drano bottle. I don't know why you would keep your Drano in your fridge. That's none of my business. Also a sticky note, because I think that's kind of stupid. Just starting with that, I'm going to go through your life and go, okay, you've made some horrible choices. But she's got a sticky note on the Drano. I mean, she's more successful than me. What do I know? But she put on the Drano bottle on the sticky note, if Trump wins. And then the other day, apparently deleted the Instagram account. I don't know if it came back or what, but...
Well, no, what happened was apparently there were a lot of comments from people asking her, if she drank the Drano.
Right. I knew that, but I mean, did they ever bring her? Did they just so they shut her account down, and that wasn't?
I have no idea. I have no idea how it was shut down.
I know some YouTube videos got taken down for some comments or jokes that that were live streaming during election coverage. But
if people were concerned for her, I mean, come on, she has a prominent role on a Seinfeld episode,
right? Exactly.
And apparently, you don't love her as much as Kramer.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean, what a bunch of nutcases, and I just
but
I do love what would you call that? Sexual narcissism? These women posting, I'm so upset. I'm not going to have sex with men now. Who the hell does that? Could you imagine going on?
It says a lot more about your sex life or your attitude towards sex, than it does your political affiliation, which I really don't care about. That's whoever you support is your business. But this whole idea, is there a line at the door, or I mean, and which would be none of my business if it's within the law and consensual. But it was as if, all right, we're closed.
Closed for business.
We're closed. It was like, what is happening here?
I know.
I mean, if it was a brothel out in Nevada, because Nevada's still in question. And if he wins, that I would understand. It's like, okay, that's kind of the idea.
You saw Real Clear Politics called all of it.
And 270 to win. Oh, no, not 270.
312.
It was right. Which, by the way,
was the number you brought up.
Who was bringing up that 312 number?
Yep.
I'm a genius. That's what it is. But I can do simple math. Okay, this state has 11. That state has 3. Why does Alaska only have 3? There were, and of course we're going to talk about McCormick and everything that happened in Pennsylvania. But I look at this reaction and I think to myself, is this going to be how you live your life? Remember in 2008, we came in, I think pretty much happened the same way in 2012, the night of the election. We knew by the time we went on the air, Obama won. Mm-hmm. We were having a good time. This guy liberal calls us, and he said, blah, 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 and you guys and blah, 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 and you guys are sore losers. And we were like, actually, we were laughing. We were cracking jokes. You said, you're a sore winner. Yeah. They take more and more of my money. The left tries to take more and more of my freedom. They're not going to take my joy. if they win an election. I'm not going to be happy about it, but they don't get all of my joy. It's not going to happen that way. Can you imagine men? Okay, ladies, no more of you know. If Kamala wins, ladies would be, right. It's just because it almost sounds like some guys wrote a skit,
I know.
right? And put that on there, and they have these ladies that just acting the part. But there are insane reactions to this whole thing, and yet on the other side of it, what do we see? The turnout, the massive turnout for Trump. The which you and I didn't make predictions, we had Atlas Intel and Rasmussen reports telling us he's going to win the popular vote. He's going to win the popular vote, and sure as heck he did. And you're looking at, effectively, this is a mandate on many levels, not just for Trump on the core items that need to be fixed, but it's also on social issues. I guess we can call them social issues, on the way people behave and the whole thing. Liberals, a couple of liberals now are going, yeah, you know what? We had it wrong. This is why we don't connect. This is why the American people are rejecting Democrats more and more. And that's really, it's all part of this new big mandate that, we believe it's tapping the brakes because we know the liberals aren't done. Look, it was very close in some states. It was thousands or tens of thousands of votes, but still, percentage-wise, it was fairly close in those Great Lakes states. And there's a lot of work to be done. And Donald Trump only has, this one term. It's going to be on the party and the future of the party, and we have confidence more and more every day in them, including J.D. Vance and others. But the work has to be done, and that's what it's all about. So I'm not, I'm relieved. I've had some great times watching this reaction by liberals over the last couple of days. But the fact of the matter is that this is when the work starts, and the work is always hard.
What I wonder, because we talked already, is abortion now a dead deal on the federal level? We talked about that.
Yeah.
But the whole identity politics, all of the audio cut coming up from Van Jones, who basically says identity politics is killing us.
Yeah.
How long have we said that for?
Yeah. For all,
and
really since about the beginning that you and I started working together.
But you go MSNBC, you go The View, you go to even the regular networks, whatever, misogyny, sexism, racism. They're still throwing it out when everybody knows that's not it.
Right.
Everybody. Look, if Van Jones knows it's not it, everybody knows. Again, if you live in the bubble of today, you might not know that when Obama went into office and Van Jones became part of his administration, people said, oh, my God, he is the most far-left socialist you could possibly find.
Yeah, right.
Radical socialist. And he's the one saying identity politics is killing us. We'll have that audio coming up. And so I just wonder, has that peaked out? Has that peaked out? Are people sick and tired? Because now you've got them calling, you've got the radical, I'll say the radical mainstream, just because I think I'm going to call them radical from now on. We'll throw in mainstream for a while just so people know what we're talking about, radical mainstream. And then we'll just go straight to radical. But, and they're not stopping.
No.
No,
they're not.
Blacks are misogynists. Blacks don't want a black woman. Hispanics are racist. And, blacks don't want a woman.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They don't want to, they won't vote for a woman. Blacks are misogynist. Hispanics, they get the double whammy. Hispanic men, they're misogynist and they're racist.
Right.
They're both of them.
Yeah.
And even on The View, when Alyssa Farah came out and said, talked about the county that just, moved 75 points to Trump, that's vast majority Hispanics. Yeah. And she goes, the reason, and I think it was Joy Behar said, misogyny.
Yeah.
Just through that, I'm like, oh, my God. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, what they're doing. And they're not going to let it go. And that's the problem. Once you fully embrace the racism of the left, which is identity politics, where you judge people by groups and not individuals. How do you turn that back?
You can't unindoctrinate. You can't do that.
We started talking about this. I remember in 2018 when I said, Eric, they got to change.
Yeah.
They can't continue going down this road. They have to change because you can't, as a political party, continue to divide. Now they're going after blacks and Hispanics the same way they went after whites.
Part of the reason that Trump won is also their reaction to Trump winning. Think about that.
Yeah, you're right. But they're not going to stop.
No.
And so where do they go? We'll get to that and more coming up. 866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Cold temperatures and water can lead to only one outcome, and ice has no place in a truck's air system. That's why it's absolutely crucial to keep your air system moisture-free as temperatures begin to drop. If a vehicle didn't have an air dryer, the air system would be filled with that water, which can lead to dangerous and costly premature brake failures. To add insult to injury, if it's cold enough, that liquid will freeze, threatening air supply to various systems, including the transmission and suspension. Ice in the air system can also disable the compressor, for example, along with any of the air valves in the system. Make sure your air system is in top condition before plunging temperatures. Put it to the test.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, let's take a look at the radical media from the last 48 hours. You ready? All right, here we go.
Why didn't this work?
We're still unpacking what exactly happened.
Some of this is pure racism and misogyny.
White supremacist ideology.
Uneducated white women.
Nostalgia for a past that didn't exist.
The headwinds of the economy.
Misinformation. The patriarchy.
The American people have given up on democracy.
Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
How much of this is just old-fashioned sexism? How much of this is just old-fashioned misogyny?
It's misogyny from Hispanic men. It's misogyny from black men. Not enough people in this country yet believe in the full equality of women.
Among Hispanic men and black men, there's a lot of misogyny.
Might be race issues.
Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not.
A lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
I don't put sexism and racism past the United States. I think that for some people that was a factor.
The short answer is the sexism, the misogyny, the racism that is so unquantifiable.
Anyone who has experienced or been in the United States for any period of time cannot have believed that it would be easy to elect a woman president, let alone a woman of color.
Who are we as a country? And we're starting to find out. And from what I'm seeing right now, I'm not sure I like it.
Now, the one thing I will say, we have reached the goal that Democrats have always talked about. We have reached equity. Whites are racist. Blacks.
That's true.
Whites are racist and misogynist. Blacks and Hispanics are racist and misogynist. We have reached full equity. So Democrats, you have won.
You've won. The Democrats get their equity, and Eric and Gary get to be right, because we've been saying, wait for it. They're coming after you.
Yeah. Yep.
They're coming after you. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. It doesn't matter that you're on their side today, because this is the problem with identity politics. Every single day they're creating new and more subgroups. Well, that means the people of those subgroups are no longer a part of the group they were in yesterday, and everybody in that group they were in yesterday is now the oppressor. And that means you. Just wait for it. And here we are.
Yep.
Powered by windmills and solar panels. Red Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right, I want to play this audio cut from the Obama administration. Van Jones. When Van Jones became part of the administration, he was viewed as one of the most far left. He was the one when he became part of the administration that really got the term socialist used for Obama. When you think about it.
Yeah.
When Van Jones
he
came
was the
aboard,
one that mainstreamed the word socialist. That's true.
He mainstreamed socialist. Here he is analyzing this election.
If progressives have a politics that says all white people are racist, all men are toxic, and all billionaires are evil, it's kind of hard to keep them on your side. And so we might want to think about, if you're chasing people out of the party, you can't be mad when they leave. And maybe if we had a different politics, we actually said dignity for everybody, everybody's respected, and we need you, more people might stay.
All right.
But wait a minute. You were promoting identity politics until right there.
Well, actually, he's done it since the election was over. He was going off on, I think it was black men the other day.
Yeah.
So, he's kind of all over the place. But the translation from the perspective of somebody who I believe still is a socialist. I mean, I don't have any, there's been nothing. Van Jones has had a change of heart on socialism. I mean, he is still radical left. And so the translation, what I just heard from him is, we have to bring them in. We have to talk differently. It's nothing about we have to change our policies. Look, the identity politics will always be a signature. They can't unlearn that. I don't think they're going to change that completely. They may tone it down a little bit, but their socialist ideas they're going to keep promoting over and over again. Eventually you get around to, look, we're doing it for the common man. We're doing it for the people. It's for the people. And that kind of approach, I can see the Democrats kind of toning it down a little bit, but it means that, of course, they're ramping up the socialist ideas, which they're going to do. They're not going to change who they are.
Saying they might tone it down is different from them actually. What is the path to toning it down? How can they do it? I don't see.
Yeah.
I don't see. And I was the one in 2018. Remember, I said, Eric, they've got to change. They can't continue with this identity politics. You cannot, as a political party, what did Trump do? Trump united people behind him.
From all groups.
And he started it, as we talked about before. Where did he unite them? You knew that Trump united people on the issues when Kamala Harris wanted to co-opt all the major things that he believed in. When she came out and said, basically, I'm going to be tougher on the border. Everyone knew that was a lie, but she did it because she knew that the majority of people agree with Trump on it.
Yeah.
There's still, you look at it, there's still probably another, 30 to 40 million people that agree with Trump that didn't vote for him.
Yeah.
That agree with him on the issues. So that's where Republicans have to go. You keep pounding the issues over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's what you do.
Well,
you don't look back, you look forward, and I think Trump is doing that very well. You and I were talking about very quickly that it's all over social media, and we'll just hit it for a second here because it's like people don't know how the system works. And this was, and even a couple of my buddies, posted the entire thing. There was the graph out there. How does this make sense? How did he get 81 million votes? There had to be massive fraud. I mean, there's 13, 14, whatever it was, 15 million. This is proof that it was stolen. No, it's not. Number one, if it is proof that it was stolen, then the Republicans betrayed you and didn't do their job over the last 4 years.
Exactly.
Because every single state has to. They keep records of everybody who voted. They don't know how you vote, but they know everybody who voted. It's very easy. to sit there and go, let's take all the states, add it up, see how many votes total were cast and how many people voted and who they are, and you can verify everything. And so even Mark Mitchell, you told me, was doing it.
Yeah, there was something, that he posted yesterday, and I thought to myself, okay, let's say, for the sake of the argument, by the way, you and I know, we've been doing this a long time, there's fraud in every election.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some level of fraud in every election.
And in 2020, massive irregularities of
and
what was going on.
Manipulation with the whole social media thing and the laptop. We know that, we know that the great number of people that would have changed their vote, would have voted differently if they had known the truth about the laptop. And so we know about the manipulation and the rigging that goes on and what's going on with deep state and everything else and was going on then. We learned it from the Twitter files. We learned it, even Zuckerberg was admitting they came to Facebook and all this. We understand all of that.
And the governors and the governor's not following the governor's not following the law.
And all the based on the changes they made in COVID and and all that. All of that. Look, you're absolutely justified. Everybody is justified in having suspicion.
Yeah, that's not the point. The point. The point here is
to finish my thought. But until you get all of those states, because really yesterday it was about these are the battleground states, and it would have gone differently because this would have happened. Until you get all of those state officials on board, and again, as you said, it has to start with the Republican Party. If you're basically saying they didn't do their job, but you would have to get all of those states to go back and I guess my question is, what is it that you expect to happen? Do you expect there to be a correction to undo the Biden presidency? I didn't want him to be president. I didn't vote for the guy.
The point was they're making the case that evidence is evidence that the election was stolen, and it's not.
Right, I know that, but
that's the only point.
They just want to close the book on that.
Right,
and my point is, you don't close the book.
No,
you're not closing the book with anything that was thrown out yesterday. You're just not.
Right.
Now, it could be the opinion or the suspicion of anybody, and they have the right to have that suspicion or that opinion and say, you know what, I think the whole thing was rigged, or I think the fraud was rampant. Okay, but we're talking about, when you and I talk about it, we talk about proof. You're going to have to get down to the actual numbers of how 2020 fell out.
And the Republicans already in Congress looked at that because they could subpoena all the records from every single state and do it, and they didn't do it because the numbers were not off 13, 14, 15 million from the number, from the actual data in the states.
The manipulation was clear. We know the election quite possibly would have gone differently if people had known the truth about the laptop right away.
Yeah.
We know.
From the polling, yeah.
Yep. We know all of the things that deep state did before Trump became president and during his presidency to manipulate everything. I don't trust any of it. But at the end of it, and by the way, at some point, I don't know, down the road, someone might come back and say, look at what we found. You saw a lot of that yesterday, but I'm talking about officials in each of those states, which gets back to the point that you and I have made. It's so stupid. Some of the ballots in the states, some of the rules in the states don't make sense to me. And a lot of people complain about them. And if you live in those states, every state should audit their process every major election. Every single major election, audit that process. You're not going to audit to the nth like Eric and Gary might want, but you audit the process to say, okay, what can we do better? The fact that we have so many links in the chain of custody of ballots is flat out stupid.
But again, all that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing from yesterday is the fact that the argument was that proves this is the evidence of the fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not. That's it.
Right.
Everything else we've talked about before, about the irregularities and the election interference and everything else, is totally legit. The governor's not following the rule. Totally legit.
Yep.
But what you need, and it doesn't matter because you're not going to overturn anything. It was just people wanting to brag. This is the evidence. And my buddies did it too. And I said, don't you understand? Every state has to keep a record. This would be easy. If there were 15 million votes or whatever it is, 14 million votes that were missing and were fraudulent, you'd know it like that.
Yep.
You'd know it in a day.
Yep.
And the Republicans would have gone after it big time over the last 4 years. And people were like, well, look what I discovered. No, you didn't discover anything. That's the point, that was not the evidence. There may be evidence out there that they find someday. Yesterday was not the evidence.
Exactly. That was my point.
Was,
maybe one day down the road, we'll see it, and that will be something that everybody needs to know.
And the other thing is, too, that roughly, as I saw yesterday morning, roughly 8 to 10% of the vote has not been counted yet.
Right.
So that's not even in the total of 2024 yet.
Right. Yeah.
So you can't even. So people were jumping the gun. Go, well, this is as if that was the final result. It's not the final result.
No, we're not close to the final count yet.
No, and so that could go on for a while. But that was just to bring it up. But Trump isn't bringing it up.
Trump's we're in a good place. If you're a Trump supporter, right now we are in a great place.
Yeah. Well, Trump doesn't need to bring it up because Trump is stronger now than he ever would have been if he had won in 2020, and I think he knows it. And everything that came out of the campaign, or not the campaign, I guess it's technically is a campaign. Well, no, it's the administration in waiting was excellent.
Yeah.
Everything that came out was excellent.
Yep.
He's looking forward. Everybody needs to look forward.
And the future of the party is built. And by the way,
but everybody needs to look forward and talk about the issues because that's where you win. To look back doesn't get you anywhere.
We're here now, and what we have going for us is a party that's not filled. The future of the party is not filled with the establishment Republicans. They weren't on the stage at the convention. And you see them. They were all surrogates, great surrogates for Trump, and they're going to be a part of the next 4 years. There's no doubt in some way. And so Trump is stronger than he's ever been. And he's got, well, the majority of American voters on his side.
Much stronger. You look, and you and I were talking about it. I wonder if Trump looks back and go, this was hell I went through. But, man, you think about all the stuff that he was promoting yesterday.
Yep.
There's not really a lot of blowback. The Democrats are just going. That was brought up in an article in National Review saying, where's the resistance?
Right.
There doesn't seem to be. They're all screaming at each other and screaming at the voters.
Right.
And Trump's out there going, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I'm expecting there's going to be people screaming like crazy about what. And there's nothing.
There's nothing. I thought it was a great video that he put out about the 250th birthday thing. Yes. I thought that was awesome. It's like, look, we're going to celebrate and we're going to highlight the glory of each state. I'm going to work with Democrats and Republicans.
No, it was not awesome.
No? Why?
Because I remember 200 very well.
Yeah.
And that means a half century will have gone by.
Yeah. I was 10 years old. You were 20. That's an age difference right there between 10 and 20.
Yeah. I can still remember driving down Colvin Boulevard with my buddy Jeff.
Yeah.
By the Blue Jet.
Wow, the Bicentennial.
And the Bicentennial, and we were listening to Kansas Song for America.
Wow. I had foot surgery and couldn't go to a celebration on base. We lived on base in Del Rio, Laughlin Air Force Base. And it was a big celebration. I couldn't go because I had foot surgery. I was really bummed about it.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. As I said, Trump, I think the last couple of days and, some of the things that he put out yesterday and then the announcement that Susie Wiles is going to be his chief of staff, that's excellent because one thing that I think that his campaign managers helped him do, and she was clearly one of them, is not tell him what to do, but gently nudge him to communicate much more effectively.
Yeah.
And they are communicating much more effectively. And just some of the things in the last couple of days that he has said about what he's going to do has been extremely blunt. But talking about, when he talks blunt, he's talking about the fact that this is going to help America and help you.
Right.
And so I think she's a great, great choice. I don't know how often you'll see her on the Sunday morning news shows, though.
Well, and I'm okay with that,
Same with me.
I mean, look, if she's, and by all accounts, she is a true public servant, that's what you want, right? I mean, she's in that role. She's taking care of business. I don't need her on Sunday mornings, especially in a Trump presidency. You have Trump.
No, but I wonder how much will they cut back on interviews on the mainstream media?
That's a good question.
Radical mainstream media.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. We're here. We made it to a Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be a heck of a couple of months here. One of the things we talk about the identity politics, and if you've listened to this show for any length of time, we've been pounding on this for years and wondering why the Republicans have more of an emphasis on not defending when Democrats call them racist, but attack.
Yeah.
And
right.
if there's ever been an opportunity, this is the opportunity. Now, they're doing a better job. But the surrogates, for Trump need to be out there. I really wonder whether this is going to be an administration with Trump where he tries to take the more business approach to it, is very blunt in his speeches, but doesn't do as many press conferences, because I'm thinking about, controlling your message out there, picking Susie Wiles, for example, and they very controlled message that they had. And I just don't think you're going to see Trump on 60 Minutes. I don't think you're going to see him on the Sunday morning news shows. It's going to be surrogates who will be out there speaking for him that did such a great job. And J.D. Vance may be that surrogate.
Yeah,
because
sure.
if you look at it, I really wonder who they might have for the press secretary that would do the daily press briefings. A lot of people have said it should be Scott Jennings.
Scott Jennings would be great. Look, if I had my wish list at the top of my wish list, it would be Ramaswamy, but he's got other things to do.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
So if you, so when you look at it, J.D. Vance, you throw him on the Sunday morning news shows, and he would be fine. But I just wonder if what he has learned, and Trump's learned a lot. He has said, I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
One of the things when he ran in 2016 is, I know how to hire the right people. He finally admitted, well, what was it, about 3-4 months ago?
Right.
I hired all the wrong people.
Yeah.
But he said, but he talked about the fact that I didn't know what I was doing because I'd never been in this. No, that's a job that if you're not in politics, as we know with the FBI, James Comey said, we knew they didn't know what the hell they were doing because they had never been in politics before, and we took advantage of it.
Exactly. And that's what one of the things I greatly respect about Donald Trump that I've witnessed over the years is, remember the night that when he had the meeting with Kim Jong-un, and then he went out, and it was a huge media room. It was filled with global media.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the middle of the night, much like his victory speech in 2016 and also the other night. And so a lot of people didn't get to see it and didn't look for it. But we carried it, part of it, because it was happening during our show. And he said, look, I may say something different a year from now, and you guys will call me on it. He basically alluded to the fact that, when he learns things, he sometimes will have that change of heart. One of the things on the debate stage, I think it was Megyn Kelly that was asking him about visas. And then he said, no, I'm changing. That was in 2016. And people were, a lot of, in fact, Republicans and conservatives were going, whoa, you don't do that while you're on the debate stage. But if you put it into context, here's the thing. The more time you have with Donald Trump, the politician or president-elect, former president, the more you know about his natural behavior, which is very natural for him. You have to know the Trumpisms. You have to know sometimes when he's just having, a little bit of a promoter, I call it the Don King moment, going to be the greatest ever. Nobody's ever, it's got to be the greatest thing. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And it's going to be, I love that kind of moment, by the way, because, it is reminiscent of Don King and that kind of promotion. And when you're talking about our nation, I want somebody promoting it like that.
Yeah.
And those are the things that, but when we look at the core things of a public servant, and we've always said, look, if you change your opinion on something or change a position, we want to see that where that change of heart was.
Explain why.
Sarah Palin, which, by the way, we were probably one of the first radio shows to mention her name in early 2008 as a Veep pick. But at the Veep debate, what about, yeah, exactly.
I'm patting myself on the back.
I forget we're not on TV. I'll just go, yeah, exactly. But the question, it was going right into a break, too. Do you support do you support cap and trade? And then she said yes, and they went straight to a break. And we were like, whoa. And then basically we were saying, all right. She said, yes, we want to know what that's about. And if she's changed positions, she needs to tell us where she had the change of heart. Donald Trump will have the conversation with you. In fact, Jim Acosta, if Jim Acosta weren't such an activist and microphone hog, in the day in that press conference that he got kicked out, they were having a conversation, and Trump was telling him, and he said this the other night.
He said in his victory speech.
In his victory speech, he said, we want people to come here legally. Now, when he was talking to Jim Acosta, he said, and he was alluding to this the other night, he said, because the economy is going to be growing so much, we're going to need more people to do these jobs. The other night, he just kind of kept it at, we want people to come here legally. Those are the things where if you stop and listen and don't pay attention to what the liberal activist media, the radical media, puts out there in its edited form, like Charlottesville and everything else they've lied about. This is why I was asking the question pretty much all this year. What do you actually know yourself about Donald Trump? If you do your own research and do it thoroughly, and you come to the conclusion, yeah, I still don't like the guy, I still disagree. All right, fine. But if you're going based on Michael Rappaport, lies that were told by others to you, and you bought into those lies, then there really is. This is the time for the reckoning. You don't have to support his politics, but if we're going to have an honest conversation about where we are right now as a society, and what helps everybody, the things that help everybody in the situations that we are in with inflation and the economy, national security, the broken border, and everything else. If we're going to have these honest conversations, then it starts with honesty.
I will say this, and this is not an insult, because when you use the word politics, people view that as bad. It's like when people say, well, everything here is political. Well, yeah, because they're politicians.
Exactly.
That's a stupid argument. We've always said it. But I believe that in the last 6 months, what you have seen from Donald Trump, and this is not an insult, this is a compliment, is he has become a very effective politician. Yeah, he has learned where his weaknesses are, where his strengths are, and then he has brought people aboard that he knows what their strengths are and have said, go out there and be my surrogates. And one of them is J.D. Vance. The other one is Elon Musk. The other one's Ramaswamy. The other one is Tulsi Gabbard and more. But they're very, very effective. He's learned, and that's what you do in management. You learn where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and then you find other people that you believe, because when he talks about J.D. Vance, you can see.
Oh, yeah.
You can see he's going, this guy can do stuff I can't do. He can get out there, and he is just so articulate and doing it because people's personality and the way that they, not that Donald Trump doesn't know how the world works, because he does. You don't get to the point of Donald Trump and not know how the world works when you're in the construction business and whatever other business, all the other businesses that he has been in. You know how to get things done. But at times you may sit there and say, okay, I'm a 70% good communicator. This guy's 100%. He's got to go there with J.D. Vance. And you can see it. You saw the other day, he talked about it. He goes, and J.D. Vance, man, this guy, I can send him anywhere, right into the enemy. And I was like, that's it. He has learned to become an effective politician, which is extremely important. And again, I want to say this because whenever you say politician, don't insult Donald Trump. He's not a politician. He's a politician.
He's a politician, and he's become a very good one.
He's become, exactly, and that's what you want. And he has become a much his campaign, and I believe now his incoming administration has become a well-oiled machine at communicating effectively to the American people what the problem is. We talked about this in 2016. All he had to do was identify the problem. Now he's identified the problem, and he's telling us what the solution is going to be. But remember, though, this is only his second time as a politician. You know, it's not like he's been in the Senate for years and years and years and years, and he understands that the weakness of him, he talked about the weakness of him coming in, which is why I think the Rogan podcast was great for him to do. And when he did Theo Vaughn too, right? Or did he do it?
Yeah, he did.
And Vance did it too.
Vance did it after that.
What I find incredible is, and I'll find the audio coming up here in just a couple of minutes. It was they were talking about, I forgot what network it was, but I've got it lined up in all my audio cuts here. I wasn't going to play it now though, but someone was like, well, they've got this media here, the Republicans, that the Democrats don't have. They've got, and I think Theo Vaughn was mentioned, and then Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. And I sat there, and you and I had the same reaction when we saw it. We went, "What the hell are you talking about? What do you mean Trump has Joe Rogan? You guys had Joe Rogan first."
Exactly.
He
endorsed Bernie.
He endorsed Bernie.
He talked about that with Elon Musk the other day. And they were both talking about how they were a lot more liberal just a few years ago. And
what did Elon say?
And Elon said,
"I make electric vehicles."
Well, no, that was my joke. But he said, I was waiting for him to go, Joe, I make electric vehicles. That's how liberal I am in some ways. No, but Elon said, look, just a few short years ago, but everything that I have learned. And Rogan was making the same point. He said, I endorsed Bernie. That's, again, that's when I talk about honest conversations. If you don't want to be a part of the honest conversation, then I don't want to be a part of the conversation with you. But it has to be an honest approach. I think one of the things that with Donald Trump, where we are now, is he's learned what the roles are with his team. Not just the campaign team, but I think now his administration going forward. You hire based on, okay, this guy would make a good, and then if you don't have a thorough understanding of the role or maybe the person, either one or both, then you're going to run into a problem that he ran into in the first term. I don't think that's going to be the issue this time. It's going to be finding the people who are really, truly up to those roles. I think he has a greater understanding of what each of those roles are, and that's a huge positive.
Think about this. A year ago, everyone was asking, well, nobody wants to work with Trump.
Yeah.
Look at it now.
Exactly.
I mean, look at how, look at, that's why I look at the last year and a half and everything that happened and Tuesday what happened.
Right.
We are in a time when I retire,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking of retiring now because can it beat this? I'm
Right.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I have no.
Good night, folks.
I have no interest in retiring. Don't worry. What? He's retiring? No, I'm not retiring. But this last year and a half, I don't think anything can beat this. Politics, and I don't think anything will.
It's one of the things I was trying to say, I guess, in the last couple of weeks as we were getting closer to the election. It's not, disappointment that it's behind us. I wanted it to be behind us in many ways, but it is the realization that we'll never see a time like this again. But I really think it points to even greater times. Someone should quote this: "We are truly going to make America great again." But it really is. I think the path that we're on right now, the potential of what we have. By the way, the stock market agrees. Wait a minute.
That's what happened yet? Did it go up yesterday?
Yesterday, the Dow was down just a little bit, but the S&P and the NASDAQ were both up considerably.
Yeah, because the reaction to another rate drop.
Yeah, right, exactly. And which, and then Powell saying, no, Trump doesn't have the authority to fire me. And it's like, okay, come on. It's, the activist media is not going to quit doing what they do. But I really do think that we're in a good place right now, and you clearly, based on the results of this election, have more and more people that are in Trump's corner, the majority of American voters.
866-98 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Managing time is key. Successful owner-operators know that simply running hard is not enough. If it were that easy, anyone could do the job and expect the profits to roll in. It generally pays to slow down. There is a trade-off in higher costs, not to mention the increased risk for driving fast. If driving slower takes time away from you, you could find some of the ways to get it back. Never take time off during the last 2 weeks of the quarter or the last week of the month, when freight typically is abundant. Sometimes it works to your advantage to look for loads that take you through home rather than to home. The latter can interrupt your revenue stream and require additional time to get back up to full speed again. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Let us go to Steve in Tennessee. Steve, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Hi, Steve.
Hey, guys. I know earlier you were talking about how people still want to look back at 2020 and complain about how it might have been stolen. But regardless of whether anybody believes that election was wrought with fraud and potentially stolen, and that may come to light later down the road, but this perfect trifecta of owning the White House, the Senate, and Congress with the mandate of the popular vote, I think Trump's going to be much more effective in 2024 than he could have ever been in the last 4 years for a couple of reasons. First off, the woke got exactly what they thought they wanted. They got a taste of it in real time, not hyperbole, not a hypothetical scenario, but a real taste of what woke does to your wallet with out-of-control spending and how it looks on your streets and your sidewalks when you have open borders. And it really took 4 years of a failed progressive policies for people to come to the subconscious acknowledgement that Democrat policies are actually bad for America. And secondly, if Trump had been reelected in 2020, he would have had Chuck Schumer and a Democrat-controlled Senate to block him at every turn. But now with this trifecta, he can sell the ideas and policies with a popular vote mandate with zero meaningful resistance. And, of course, now, in contrast to 2016, most of the rhinos have washed out, so we shouldn't have any never-Trumper Republicans crossing over to give Democrats veto power even when we have the majority. And if he can just focus on doing the hard work for the people, like having Elon Musk help him, get rid of some inefficiencies in governments while bringing more people into the intellectual fold, then these next 2 to 4 years can truly be the golden years that America needs to erase the damage of a Joe Biden presidency.
Yeah.
I think well
agree.
said, Steve.
Well
I mean,
said.
you hit everything on point, and thank you, sir, for the call. And, I think the greatest point there that you made is that it's, this 4 years, while I'm sure none of us wanted to go through this, it burned out the candle in many ways for the left and then brought Trump back even stronger. Think about how that happened. It is incredible to think about. It's the greatest political comeback in American history. It really is.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Great caller that we had there, and it's and you look at the Trump campaign right now, or not the Trump, the incoming Trump administration, and they seem to be very, very focused, not looking at the past in any ways. And on X, you'll see that a lot.
Yeah.
You'll see that. But X is not the incoming administration, what you see there. And when you see, and I'm glad the last caller agreed with what we had said about 40 minutes ago, when we said, actually, when you think about it, Trump is much stronger to have this next 4 years than if he would have won in 2020.
Right.
No matter what you think happened in 2020, he's much stronger right now. From what we know, he will have the House, and the indications are he'll keep the House. You'll have the Senate, which it's 53, could be 54.
Yeah,
still could happen. Lake could still win in Arizona. That's so close to call.
Right.
And so. You've got that. But what he also has is the public, as the last caller said, as we have said many times, the last caller said, the way the last caller said it was just perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah. He had it all. He really had everything. He delivered his opinion on in the way that I love. It was all organized and clearly on point and came from the heart. It was a great job.
But the power that he has is people have witnessed what the Democrats have done over the last 4 years, and they don't like it.
Well, that's the thing, is that if you look at all of this really was the perfect storm. It was maybe imperfect storm because of the fact that we got here because of so many things that were broken. None of us like that idea of all these things, the border being broken, crime on the rise, fentanyl deaths skyrocketing, inflation and people being underwater. We don't want that to happen. But can you think of a scenario that would have changed the political landscape to the extent that now the Democrats are going to, in fact, both Kamala Harris and President Biden said it yesterday, they have promised a peaceful transfer of power to Hitler. The point being, this guy, again, he's literally Hitler. And he wins the popular vote after years and years and years. Not just the name calling. The Russian hoax, which came complete, if you bought the entire kit, came complete with its own special counsel, the Charlottesville lie, the DOJ, lawfare, and not one, but two attempted assassinations in recent months alone. And he wins the popular vote. America clearly, a number of people, clearly learned something. And I've been saying we went from woke to the awakening, because this is people actually opening their eyes going, wow, look at what's happened and look at where we're at. I want that guy.
I saw James Carville yesterday. We're in a very dark space, and they have this felonious bigot that they, remember he predicted that, that Harris was going to win. Oh my gosh, that's coming back to haunt some of the never Trumpers out there.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's beautiful to see it. But to Carville, I mean, you can just tell he's just so incredibly bitter. But when he called him a felonious bigot, stop it. We now know. Even Democrats know. I'm reading it right here. Cenk Uygur, as liberal as you can get.
Yeah.
The Young Turks and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats on TV who are calling Latino men sexist for voting for Trump are the dumbest people in the world. This is punching yourself in the face for the next election. Do you think they're going to vote for you after you smear them like this? They didn't cost you the election. Your beloved Democratic establishment did. How about you deliver for them next time instead of just insulting them? And how about you ask more of your candidates rather than blaming the voters? This is exactly why you lost. Now, that came from that. We played Van Jones earlier, but Van Jones considered one of the most liberal people during the Obama administration. In fact, that's what really codified the socialist label for him, was putting Van Jones in his administration.
Mm-hmm.
And at least that's how I viewed it back then. Other people may view it different, but that's how I viewed it. And so he was out yesterday also saying the same thing. You can't sit there and say all white people are racist, all billionaires are evil,
right?
And and expect that these people are going to jump behind you. But what really, and this is, I can't get this out of my mind. I know where Trump is going to go. I know where the Republicans are going to go on the issues, and they're going the exact right way because they've got the majority of people behind them. Now, on some of the financial issues and the tariffs and everything else, I've got a ton of questions over that. I said, I don't know yet. Let's wait till we see,
right,
what they do. You're very limited on what you can do if it's going to affect the economy right now, especially with the debt that we have.
Right.
Let's see what Elon Musk could do. Let's see all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to give Kennedy a chance. I'm more wary of Kennedy than anybody else in the administration, though.
Right.
I
do say, I will say this. It's funny you say that because yesterday I saw his face on somebody put a bunch of side-by-sides, people that might be working with Trump and, that have been basically surrogates and working with him during the campaign. And I thought the same thing. And because I thought, I'm more open to this. And the reason is because the Trump organization, which is now the incoming presidency administration, is more organized. And I think they understand, again, what the roles are. I think, and so if JFK, I'm sorry, I've done that how many times now? A half dozen times at least.
A lot.
RFK Jr. comes in, and because if JFK comes in, that's going to be, if
historic.
If RFK Jr. comes in and was in charge of the administration, I'd have a great number of concerns. But in a specific role with where and how organized they are right now, I'm definitely open to hear where that's going to be. We'll take it as we go, as time passes on, and see where that is going to end up. But I think right now it has become clear. The American people understand, and Trump understands.
And
that's a mutual understanding, which ended up in a handshake of a majority win on the popular vote, and that is pretty incredible based on where we've been and how the left threw everything at him.
And I think it's going to make a great difference in foreign policy. I mean, the way he's come across defending Israel and warning Iran.
Yeah.
And I also think the left talking about, this love affair that he has with Putin. Trump's not an idiot. He doesn't have a love affair with Putin.
No.
He may have gone too far in trying to butter them up in order to negotiate them, the first time.
Yeah.
In 2016. I don't see that there. I think he understands exactly where the dangers are. in the world. Some of the people that may end up running the Pentagon or the State Department, whatever. It's going to be fascinating to see where they go. It's going to be tough. I mean, he's talking about clearing house, which he's got to do because the rot and the stink.
Yeah.
I would. At any other time in history, if president came in, we're going to clear everybody out, I probably would have said, no, you can't do that. You got to do it.
You have to do it.
You have to do it. But when you look at that, I know where the Republicans are going, but I honestly, and I can't get this out of my mind because I can't come up with an answer for it. And it's, where do the Democrats go?
Yeah.
When you practice, when you have the victim oppressor narrative, and that's what you've run your political party since I've been doing talk radio since 1989. And identity politics has been a part of it. The identity politics and the victim oppressor relationship. Okay, we're going to be the party of victims, and we'll get, in order to expand the base, more victims. But they forgot about, but we said years ago, was in order to do that, you got to have more oppressors. And then if somebody doesn't agree with you, as you see now we're to the point where their identity politics has gotten to where now minorities are racist and misogynist and sexist and you name it, they're everything. Mm-hmm. That if you're not fully aboard into the identity politics, that anybody who doesn't disagree with you, that anybody who disagrees with you is a Hitler. Well, where do you go? I don't know.
Yeah.
And this is where they go, well, we've got to get away from it. How?
Well,
are you going to sit there as Republicans are doing and saying, we judge people as individuals, and we want to promote the autonomy of an individual, and we want to help everybody across the board, irrespective of skin color. How do the Democrats do that? They can't do that because their donors don't want that.
Well, you think of Cenk Uygur. I'll leap off of the point he was making, and I'll repeat what I said earlier to that point. The far left's reaction to Donald Trump winning is part of what got him the win in the first place.
Yes.
And there is no other way to say it. And they think that this is going to work, but as we pointed out here, for far too many, and most of them, in fact, the overwhelming majority of them, you can't change the nature of how they behave. It's not going to happen. Joy Reid's not going to stand up tomorrow and go, you know what? I got it wrong. I just want people to listen to my idea. That's not going to happen.
No.
You're not going to have this all of a sudden de-radicalization. That's not going to happen. Uygur makes the point, and he's pointing out this is how he won. What I said earlier, this is in part, it's not the entire thing, because we believe it's actually the biggest part of it is the issues. It is the policies that broke this country, that so many things are broken as a result of those policies. But a big part of how they campaign was a huge driver, and that's also their reaction. What got him elected in the first place is also their reaction to him winning.
This is interesting because Scott Jennings is sort of on that same tact here. I want to play this audio here.
All right.
I want to play this audio. Yeah, here we go. Okay, here we go.
I think the Democratic Party, you're right, it is hard to lose. Republicans went through this after 2012. And I think about the condition of the Democratic Party. It's been almost fully oriented around Trump for a decade. I mean, look and look at Biden. I mean, his basic campaign promise initially was to rid the country of Trump and Trumpism. And as he leaves office, Trumpism, and the MAGA movement is stronger than ever. So not only are you just dealing with the wreckage of having lost an election, you're dealing with the total failure of the project of the current president as he set it out when he got elected in the first place. I think part of the answers that you all are seeking are more than just tactical.
I agree.
So some of it is, what are we? Who are we?
What do we stand for?
What do we stand for? And, I think both parties go through this after these kinds of losses. But when you look at how Biden is leaving, the very thing he vowed to rid us of is now the ascendant political movement in this country. It's got to be a pretty demoralizing feeling.
In a stronger.
Wow. It's Jennings, man. I'm telling you, he's been so great this political season, and he points out the truth here.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So the double whammy, Eric, that I'm looking at in the Democratic Party, if you look at the future, where they go, is the fact that on any issue, they don't have the majority of the population behind them.
Right.
On every issue, every major issue, you've got like landslide numbers, 60% or more. When you look at things like inflation, the border, the fund, the police. And so you've got that where they don't have any issues. They can't win on the issues. Abortion's gone as an issue, I believe.
Yeah.
After this election.
Right.
It wasn't the driving force in this election to begin with, but now as the states take over, it's not going to be a major issue. They don't have any issues to throw out to the American public, and their explanation for everything is everybody is a racist. If you don't agree with me, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, sexist, something, got to throw a phobic in there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter now whether you're white, Hispanic, or black.
Exactly. And we said this is coming.
Yeah.
You know, eventually you're going to be the oppressor, even if you've been on their side all along. It doesn't matter what group you're in. Eventually they're coming after you.
So where do you go?
Right. What's their tactic going forward? I don't think they can change, but I don't know what you do that's going to be effective.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. We've made it to a Friday. Woo-hoo! Wow. What an election season it's been. Now, what have we learned from this election season? We've learned a couple of things.
Yeah.
Number one, the traditional, I won't call them radical at the moment, but the traditional mainstream media that we have known for the last 40 years does not control who wins elections anymore.
Exactly.
Just as recently as even in the midterm.
Yeah.
We would get people calling us and saying, Republicans can never win because the media is against them. And we went, nope, you're wrong. The networks have getting less influence and less influence. And now you've got the Democrats going crazy. Well, Elon Musk and Joe Rogan and the conservatives have, and the Republicans have, and it's like, shut up. They were both liberals.
Right. You guys had them.
Yeah, you had Rogan.
Right.
You had Rogan was yours. Not only was yours, he was far left yours. He was for Bernie Sanders. And so
he was one. In fact, he endorsed the yours that you guys didn't even want. Remember that in 2016.
Right.
How they set Bernie up.
And so that's and you can see the reaction from them, because when you talk about, all right, what's their solution to it? And you've seen it over the last couple of days. Yeah. They need to regulate social media. The government needs to come in. You saw both John Kerry and Hillary Clinton, right?
Yep.
Over the last month.
Yep. The First Amendment essentially is a roadblock for us.
Right. The First Amendment gets in our way.
Yep.
That we need to punish civilly and also criminally misinformation from an administration
from the creator of the Russian hoax.
Yes, From the creator of the Russian hoax, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, if you for the first time, the first couple of times, if you're new to going on social media and X and everything else, you may sit there and go, whoa. But after a while, you learn to go through it and you figure out what's going on. And, and the thing is that freedom of speech scares the hell out of Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
It scares the hell out of them. That's
Free
what
thought.
Right.
Individual thought scares them.
Individual thought, freedom of the press scares the hell out of them because they can't sell. They can't make you buy what they're selling.
Remember Obama? I forget, he was giving a speech at a commencement speech at a university graduation. I forget which one it was. And he was basically telling those students who were graduating, going out to the world, don't pay attention to your computer. Don't go out there and get all the facts and whatnot. I mean, he didn't actually say those words, but he was basically the brunt of the message was, don't go get informed. I mean, it was, but it's what, to tie it in to what you were saying, we have been telling our audience today, the American people have the ability, not all have the will, but the ability greater than ever to find the facts themselves and do their own fact checking. And they did this time. They did. And that is greatly reassuring.
Yes.
That to me is something that gives me great hope and maybe change.
Well, with all the craziness, with all the craziness that, well, I mean, it's just you go on to X. I mean, how they promote the left. I mean, it's just insanity. No, it's not.
No.
Some of it is. Look, what I hate the most when I go on X is not misinformation from the left.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I see misinformation from the right when it's not needed.
Right.
You and I have said this. Conservatives and Republicans never have any reason to lie on anything.
Right.
So don't do it.
Right.
Let them do it.
Right.
Now, it's less, and we're seeing now when you look at the actual surrogates of the Republican Party and Trump right now.
Yeah. It is toned down great.
Yeah, it's wonderful what they're promoting. But think about that. That's what they're scared to death of freedom of the press, but they don't control the media anymore. And they've talked about it. We don't control the media anymore, so since we don't control the media anymore, but why don't they control the media anymore? Because they don't control the truth.
Right.
Well, excuse me. They don't speak the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And on the issues, people don't agree with them. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I heard yesterday from some, well, we're not messaging correctly. Actually, you messaged quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats message very...
Their message.
Right.
Now, they got their message out completely and fully.
Now, the message may have been confusing, but they got the message out.
Yep.
They had the ability. Don't say you didn't get we couldn't get the message out. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
It just sucked.
Yep.
And that's why you lost.
Yep.
And so that's the first one. They don't control the media. And the second thing that we found out, again, it's not the first time, money doesn't necessarily win you an election.
Right. Right.
Promoting the same crap, the same BS, the same lies. And this is one thing I think that surprised them because they've had success in promoting the same BS year in and year out and year in and year out. And they thought they could do it again. And finally people said, no, we're not buying it this time.
Yeah, it really is something we have been saying for years. Because, we talked about, and it came up again from the liberal activist media over the last couple of days after the election. This brings up the question about money and elections and blah, 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 blah. We've been saying this for years, and this election cycle helps to prove it. You can have all the money in the world. You can spend $10 trillion. You can spend Green New Deal kind of money on advertising in American politics. But if the message is wrong, you're just getting the wrong message out to more people. You're actually doing more damage if you're spending more money on the wrong message. And that's exactly what was going on. It doesn't matter. It's the message that you're able to convey. But also, what has the effect with Trump been, where he has been effective since jumping in, officially jumping in? That is being out there all the time, being out there, being in front of the, not being afraid of the media. Now, again, as we said, sometimes to a fault during the first term, but it has been, in the last few months, clearly, it has become a well-oiled machine, and with all the surrogates on board, that will clearly be a part of this administration in some way. It is going to be a continuation of that message at no end, to make sure, and that's the free stuff. I mean, you're out there, you're on social media, you're doing everything else, and that's, that has nothing to do with the money. That's having that conversation and getting your message out effectively. That's the difference, because she couldn't do it. Nobody in her campaign could do it because she couldn't do it. Trump, on the other hand, had surrogates, as you mentioned, alluding to J.D. Vance, going, "No, this guy can get out there and look at him. We can send him anywhere, and he's got the message on point." Boom, 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 boom. And it wasn't just J.D. Vance. It was Ramaswamy, and Tulsi Gabbard, and a number of others who were effective in that way. And the difference was they carried the content of Trump's message in a very effective way. Well, that's the stuff you can't buy. That's the stuff you can't pay for. They were able to get it across in conversations, and it didn't matter where they had to go. They were able to do it every single time. Well, look at Scott Jennings. Man, Scott Jennings just shut the conversation down. How many times on that CNN panel over the last couple of months? Effectively getting the message across. And that's what you and I have been pointing to and been screaming about when it comes to Republicans or conservatives, and how you get the message out to people, and what you need to be saying, what you need to be doing. And the approach really in recent months has been very, very good and effective.
Andrew Yang, and we'll get some of this audio coming up here in a little bit. Andrew Yang was on CNN yesterday and saying that, Harrison Waltz not going on Joe Rogan was a massive missed opportunity. No, it wasn't.
No.
Everything goes to the fact that they didn't have a message that they believed they could sell.
Right.
So you had over double the money that Trump had, and you couldn't sell your message.
Right.
Going on Rogan or any other podcast, Theo Vaughn, whatever, and not being able to promote what you believe and hemming and hawing, it would have been more damage.
Again, the more people you get your ineffective message out to, the more damage you do, whether it's through money or an appearance on the highest profile podcast.
But this is the idiocy of the Democratic Party that keeps thinking if we just keep pounding the same lie because it's worked for us before, that it's going to work for us now, when clearly all the polls and everything showed it wasn't working.
Right.
And they didn't care. And they knew it wasn't working.
They didn't care.
And so the excuse making is just like, wow, just.
And that's, look, we've said this forever. The left thinks you're stupid. We don't think you're stupid. It's whether or not you have the will to learn the truth, the drive to learn the truth. And that's what it comes down to. And this election proves it with so many people. This was not an act of desperation. I know people are underwater with inflation, and it's a crisis level border situation at our southern border. So many things right now that are broken that drove people, but this isn't desperation. This clearly is a learning moment, or what we have learned. And that's, if they were writing over the last 4 years that essay, when you come back to school, what I learned on my summer vacation, well, you got that essay on Tuesday. from the American people. This is what we have learned about the left. This is what we have learned about what they do, both with policy and how they behave and what they call people. And then their reaction to losing is doing more of the same.
Oh, and I love the White House trying to. Oh no, we're going to cooperate. Come on, Mr. Trump, come to the White House even before the transfer, so we can discuss it. We can have a great transfer.
Yeah.
And the left is going crazy, going, "What are you talking
Why
about?"
are you working with him?
And then Karine Jean-Pierre today with Jackie Heinrich,
gosh.
walking off. Basically, you're twisting my words. You're twisting. He wasn't twisting any words.
No.
We're saying what the president said about Trump last week, and now he's willing, come on and visit me, and everything's going to be fine, and no problem at all.
Right.
Well, we believe in the peaceful transfer. That's not the point.
Nope.
The point is, you were saying he was a threat to democracy, and now you're welcoming him in.
Right.
And
you're welcoming Hitler into the White House.
And the far left is going crazy.
Yeah.
He was Hitler last week. What are you doing? You could tell she was clearly upset about it. They're just...
But it's proof that all of it was only what is becoming a weaker and weaker tactic of the whole Hitler thing.
Well, that's the problem. The left knows. They know he's not Hitler.
They know it.
But by Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre coming out and basically saying, no, we're about the peaceful transfer, and it's all going to work out. It's like, wait a minute.
You've indoctrinated all these people.
Right.
All these radicals, and they're looking on going, wait a minute. We thought he was Hitler. You told us it was Hitler.
And then Karine Jean-Pierre. The democratic process has been followed. It doesn't matter. It's Hitler.
It's Hitler.
It's Hitler. It doesn't matter whether the democratic process is followed. It's Hitler.
But Bill Maher, prime example of this ridiculous behavior, who said back in 2016, look, we called George W. Hitler. We called Mitt Romney Hitler. But this guy really is Hitler.
Oh.
And now it's, we welcome him to the White House. We blah, 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 blah. That's how ridiculous it's gotten, and people aren't buying it anymore.
Bill Maher got it wrong.
Yeah. He did, didn't he?
He got it wrong. He picked, he said Harris is going to win.
Yeah. Well, he gets a lot of things wrong.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
For Red Eye Radio, he's Eric Hurley. I'm Gary McNamara. I just went on X and I just saw a what's this ribbon here? And it's like November is TDS Awareness Month. It's like a gold. Who don't wear the ribbon?
You don't like the ribbon? You don't want to wear the ribbon? Yeah.
Let's play a couple of audio cuts. This is coming from Andrew Yang, who was on CNN. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Here we go. All right. Audio cut number one.
Okay. When you and I were speaking at one point earlier, you were talking about algorithms, all kinds of data that was available that you were, people were going to be presenting to the Harris campaign.
Sure.
And I suppose you're going to say that did fall on deaf ears to large part?
Yeah, Van's right. They were like, we've got it.
We've got it.
And they didn't have it. And one very obvious missed opportunity is that Joe Rogan is the biggest audience in the country. It's disaffected, low propensity men, kind of the audience that the Harris campaign should be trying to reach. It was much more upside than anything else. Kamala goes on, Tim Walz goes on, and then you have millions of men who are exposed to the Democratic message, and they turned it down because she was too busy. I mean, like it makes zero sense, except in the context that the team just didn't have confidence in her to do it, which would be its own issue.
Unless you think he's being mean. 48 million views for the Rogan-Trump interview on YouTube alone.
Which was what, a 3-hour interview?
A 3-hour interview with 48 million views.
Yeah.
But Andrew Yang's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't go on, or excuse me, she didn't skip it because she was busy.
No.
She skipped it because, and it wasn't that they just didn't have confidence that she couldn't sell the message because she can't communicate effectively.
Right.
It's the fact that the message sucked.
Yep.
And so they sit there and talk about if she would have gone on Rogan.
No,
it wouldn't have made a difference.
No, actually, that would have done more damage.
Yes.
You didn't want that.
And then let's hear him.
She didn't want that. That's why they tried to set up conditions that were never going to be matched by Rogan's team.
Okay, now let me see. Okay, I got time to play this. All right. I'm going to play this. This is Andrew Yang again on CNN.
They did door knocking, they did traditional ads, but you heard what Van saying. They weren't listening to other ideas that people, maybe like Van had.
For instance. Yeah,
For
well, I
instance.
mean, there should be accountability, and Joe Biden should not have run for a second term. There should have been a competitive primary in January. He should have dropped out in January and not July. And by the way, J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom, they should have challenged him in January. We all know that they had campaigns in waiting, but instead everyone said, oh, Joe's going to be fine. Joe's going to be fine. He has a disastrous debate against Donald Trump, and then he drops out in July, and then everything is under the gun and in hurry up mode. The party lost a crucial period where they could have introduced the next generation of leaders to the American people, vetted and chosen a ticket that could have taken the fight to Donald Trump instead of Joe Biden fumbling the ball to Kamala down the stretch.
But the entire establishment of the Democratic Party, nobody would speak out against Joe.
Yeah.
No one, not Newsom,
Right.
not Pritzker, no one would.
Nope.
Everyone told the lie that he was fine.
Yep. Look, and I saw another article yesterday. You know, Biden should have stepped down earlier. You know, he should have, made that decision. This is Biden's fault, basically. Had she had the time, she didn't have enough time. Had she had the proper time, that her campaign would have come together. Actually, I'll say it again. It would have done more damage. You give her more time on any of this, her inability to talk, then you're doing more damage, but blaming Joe.
And there's something Yang's also missing that we'll get to coming up.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when you want to.
And thank you.
Yeah. As always. Getting back to Andrew Yang that was saying, well, Biden should have dropped out in January, and then they should have had some type of primary process. And, Pritzker, Governor Pritzker and Governor Newsom should have hit it, and we could, should have hit him harder. And there should have been more force to get him to step down way back then and bring in the new blood. There was no new blood.
No.
What, are you talking about Pritzker running?
Right.
Newsom?
Right.
This is where people, they live in their own bubble. They don't remember what happened.
No, they really do.
Right.
They forget what just happened. Yeah.
Yang, for apparently some reason, doesn't understand. He must not understand to make that comment because that's last summer. That's who they were talking about. If Biden can't run, it'll be Newsom. Newsom would just sweep right in.
Yep.
He's such a smooth talker.
Yep.
And we went, he represents California. We don't know, that would make it easy for Trump to say, do you wish to be California?
Right.
Which would have been a great thing to do. But the reason that it blew up, you and I both remember after he did that debate with DeSantis, Newsom, about a year ago, right? About a year ago. His numbers tanked.
Yep.
Remember, Newsom's numbers were worse than Harris.
Yep.
And
it was, which when we saw that, we had said, leading up to the debate between Newsom and DeSantis, we said, look, when you step out of that big blue bubble of California, it's a different stage. Newsom doesn't get that. He's always acted like you would act if you're the governor of California and you're just oblivious to anything going on elsewhere in terms of the political environment. And man, he got it handed to him in that debate. You're not going to win that. And then the polling came back, and he's, what, fourth place? There is no rock star on the left.
Right. So when we talk about the new blood.
There is.
Who?
Where?
And again, what they don't understand is it's where they stand on the issues. They just can't get that through their thick heads.
Yep.
They, for some reason, it's this, it's that, it's not what we believe. It is what you believe.
It is.
And another point here, since we brought up Newsom. Here it is.
All right.
Governor Newsom convenes special legislative session to fight Trump. California Governor Gavin Newsom on Thursday convened a special legislative session with the explicit mission to fight Trump.
All right.
The freedoms that we hold dear in California are under attack, and we won't sit idly by. Whether it be our fundamental civil rights, reproductive freedom, or climate action, we refuse to back the clock and allow our values and laws to be attacked. He also mentioned immigration in there. J.D. Pritzker, since we brought both them up, to anyone who intends to come take away the freedoms, opportunity, and dignity of the people of Illinois, I would remind you that a happy warrior is still a warrior. You come from my people, you come through me.
Yeah, I saw that. I was just telling the guys in the production room, it's, his big moment. I'm going to save the people of Illinois from Trump. Give me a break.
Well, or he's also talking about illegal immigration. And I'm thinking of this where they're talking about, okay, we're going to double down on sanctuary cities. Well, then fine. If you have people in this country illegally that realize we go back or we go to these safe havens, they're all going to go to those states that are sanctuary cities.
Yeah,
and that's going to be put on the taxpayer. And I'm thinking to myself, you see what New York City did yesterday, what Adams said, the meal vouchers are going away. They can't afford to do it. And so you and I talked about where we see, when you look at some of the census predictions that the state of Texas is going to have 100 million people in 75 years.
Yeah.
Dallas, that's now about 8 million people. And when I got here, it's over 8 million. When I got here, it was just over 5 million. 3 million people just in the Dallas-Fort Worth area alone. The growth is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Here. And by the way, there's still a lot of land left. But the prediction is Texas is going to be the place where Texas, Florida, southern states, where people go, red states. And so what you've got with Trump coming in now will be the emphasis from California, Illinois. I don't know if New York's going to try to double down on this, where we are going to put in, we're going to keep the regulations that we have on business. We're going to keep all our sanctuary cities.
Yep.
We're going to keep the climate, all of our climate rules and regulations where the rest of the country won't have it.
Right.
But they will.
Right.
And we've talked about the fact that there's going to be a huge shift in, and you see it already, of companies and people going, well, then we're getting the hell out of there and moving to where we have more freedoms. So Trump is actually forcing, well, he's not forcing them, they're doing it. But because Trump is in office, their reaction is to be, let us become more of a regulatory state. Let us become more of a sanctuary state. Everything that the people have rejected in the United States, we're going to double down on those in Illinois and California.
Yep.
Wow. And they're doing it like, see, now we got you.
Yeah.
What idiots.
Well, I mean, this idea, this hero complex that they have, that they're going to save the world. They're going to save, their state from Trump and the people that supported Trump, and they're clueless. You're not going to, what they don't see, it's like they keep throwing the boomerang. It only goes a few feet and comes back, and they keep throwing it over and over again. How do you not learn from this election as a Democrat? because you know it will be the end of you if you decide to change your ways. Where is your place? Think about that. What place in the party would they have? Remember Tim Ryan challenging Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. That didn't go well. And part of it was we got to get away from the identity politics as a party. Well, they had to get him back in line. You can't learn from it because the moment you get out of line, and they know it, each one of them know it. If you're part of this, if you're in, you're in. And if you're going to be a Democrat, that's how you have to behave. This is what Tulsi Gabbard saw. It's why she's a Republican. Because there is no way to come in and have a conversation anymore within the Democratic Party. Hey, guys, we need to, nope, you're out. Get out. Not only do they not have rock stars, they don't have any dissent within the party because that's not allowed. You can't even ask a question.
You have to, and you've got to have an issue that you can bring together a bigger coalition, and they don't. They will not have any issues that bring in a huge coalition. You know, when I talked about California, did you see the number of counties? You see how it's gone from last election, the number of red counties now.
That's crazy.
In California, red areas. Mm-hmm. But you and I asked the question, overwhelmingly they voted for Harris again.
Yeah.
But just like in the last couple of years on their propositions, all the propositions that Californians are passing are conservative.
Yeah, right.
All of them are conservative.
Right.
And they keep voting. It's like you're going through this referendum process for things that are mainstream center-right.
Yep.
And you keep putting radical people to lead you.
Well, remember years ago, the people of California voted against gay marriage twice.
Yep.
Twice. I mean, and the Democrats still win in massive landslides. But this changed. This election changed so many things. Is it the fissure in the ice? I don't know. It's not going to change California in my lifetime or New York State in my lifetime. It's, by the way, someone did bring up the fact that he made so many inroads in these blue states. They believe the salt cap with the salt deduction will be lifted. They think there's probably going to be a bipartisan effort to do that. And I was like, well, I'm not so sure. I said that to you. The reason I'm bringing it up, I said that to you off the air because they were already talking about it a couple of weeks ago.
Well, Trump will sign it.
Yeah. No, I think actually I could see them doing that.
Will they lift it or just cap it higher?
I think they'll just cap it higher. I don't think they'll lift it altogether. It could go, where is it now, 10? They could go to 20, maybe. I don't know.
Let me ask this very important question. How does it affect me?
That's what I was asking. Because
people may not remember, but when the Republicans cut taxes.
The stupid Republicans. You forgot stupid.
Yes, the stupid Republicans cut. Now, listen. Let us have it out here.
Yeah.
That when the stupid Republicans cut taxes, the people are going, what the hell show am I listening to? My taxes and Eric's taxes went up.
What happened to Eric and Gary just now? I'll tell you what happened. Ted Cruz. No, I'm still not able to do my taxes on a postcard, Ted Cruz. No, it's... Then all of a sudden, the guys just lost it. We don't know what happened. Nobody's seen or heard of them since.
What's going on with them? I can't do what's his name.
Jim Gaffigan.
I can't do Gaffigan. You
Why are Eric and Gary wigging out on the Friday show? I don't know. It's, but that was one of those things because of the red districts and blue states. The GOP was getting hit after that to some extent based on that one thing, the salt deduction. And so I could see them lifting the cap maybe to 20 or something. It will be interesting to see what policy moves, not executive actions, but real policy moves they'll try and bring in. Because we've talked about it. This is a mandate now. When there's a mandate, do you have, and typically you do, I guess the question would be, how much more cooperation by Democrats do you have as a result of that? And it just, you have to go item by item, but it will vary. But typically you do see that because the other party understands, look, while the wind's blowing in this direction, we're going this direction.
Well, let me ask you that. Because of everything that happened, not the rhetoric from MSNBC or the rhetoric from, the radical media out there, but when it comes to actually things that the Republicans will promote, how many Democrats are going to look at this and say, I cannot go on the record as being against this policy that 70% or 65% of the American public agrees with.
Well,
especially because of what just happened.
In fact, you had a handful of Democrats that were running for Senate. Didn't work out for Tester, but they were running based on being aligned with Trump in recent weeks.
Yes.
Well, now that there is clearly a mandate, I think you're going to see a greater tendency. I don't know to what extent and on what issues, but it will happen because they see it and it's like, okay, politically, we're going to have to do anything we can. And it's the only move you got right now, but it won't be obviously the entire party. It will be a handful, and we'll see issue by issue.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I just love X has been great today. Just reading this one, I don't know who this person is, but they wrote, all the Democrats calling blacks and Latinos racist and misogynist have a hate has no home here sign on their lawn.
Of course they do. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I love it.
That's great. I mean, that's just
I love
great
it.
stuff.
I love it.
It's going to be fun doing talk radio, isn't it, for a while?
You know,
it has been fun.
This whole thing has been
fun.
a lot of fun. We get great enjoyment from it. We get great satisfaction from doing this job on the serious side. But the less reaction and watching it over and over again is going to be also fun. But again, it shows you where they are. And it also proves that many of them have zero self-awareness. Their reaction to him winning is part of why he won in the first place. And you would think they would learn, but nope, they don't.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA, he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Welcome
Hello.
to Friday.
Happy Friday.
All right, my God, you're not going to believe this one.
What?
From the Daily Mail UK.
All right.
And you have to read in between what she's actually, I believe, saying. The Iowa pollster who made a wildly inaccurate prediction that Kamala Harris would win in the deep red state now claims her mistake may have actually helped Donald Trump. J. Ann Seltzer, renowned for her predictions in the Hawkeye state, admitted her research was completely wrong and might have even emboldened the MAGA nation. I told more than one news outlet that the findings from the last poll could actually energize and activate Republican voters who thought that they would likely coast to victory. Maybe that's what's happened.
Okay.
Adding that she was thinking about how we got where we are. You see what she's saying, right?
Yeah.
She's saying that she's trying to very subtly say her poll was correct and it upset Republicans so much that they went out and voted.
Yeah, which changed the outcome. It was accurate when she put it out.
Right.
But it changed as a result of putting it out.
Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, oh, just stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Well,
Please.
it's, it's like my wife asking, hey, where's that last piece of cake? I don't know. I'll go look for it. Oh, looking for it, honey. Made me hungry, and I ate it, so it's gone. This entire thing with her, first of all, everyone was laughing at you, Miss Seltzer. Sorry, we just didn't. What I mean is we didn't take it seriously. Not personally laughing at you. I don't know her. They were laughing at your work. Maybe that's even more damaging to her, but I'm not trying to be damaging. It's the truth. We were scoffing at that poll because of the wide disparity and swing of 21 points in just a few months. And there was zero reason behind it that it would have gone that way. It was an outlier when you said plus 18. Actually, that may have been closer. But it was seen as an outlier at the time. But maybe that outlier drove people to actually vote for Trump. It also is this, because she had been given so much credibility along the way. And I forget, it was Nate Silver, who is a poker player for those that don't know. He's played in I don't know how many World Series of Poker tournaments. But he posted something the other day. Mark Mitchell kind of had a little fun with it, but it was Nate Silver. I wouldn't want to play poker against Ann Seltzer. Well, that didn't age well. And it was about that. It was back when that poll came out. And Mark Mitchell reposted it. Can I play poker with Ann Seltzer? Yesterday. And it is Mark Mitchell, Rasmussen reports. It's if you, again, you put so much into your own work, you weren't transparent with your tabs. And the other pollsters were calling you out on it. There's a reason you weren't transparent.
Just so people know the crosstabs of the political demographic makeup of the polling.
Right. Because you said there would be too many questions. Well, now I have even more questions. And
her answers aren't satisfying.
No. By the way, Mark Mitchell also posted, yesterday they were doing the so far who was most accurate of all the pollsters. Rasmussen reports, Atlas Intel, both of those coming out very, very accurate, very accurate. And then down, it had Ann Seltzer toward the bottom of the list, and next to it, a clown emoji. I thought that was kind of funny. But that sounds like such a liberal excuse making. Well, what happened was I put that poll out and it was accurate. As you point out, this is where she's going with it. It was accurate, but it resulted in more people. It overcorrected the curve and people showed up in even greater numbers in Iowa. No. Iowa was going to go for Trump. And you and I don't make predictions. We're not pollsters. We watch the movement in the polls. But the movement in that poll was all over the place. The swing was incredible.
Well, as we said, because I don't make predictions. I don't make predictions for sporting events because that's why you play the game. That's why you have it. But what we do is we said, as we said all along, that the most accurate polls of 2020 show Trump is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And so if those hold, yes. There's other polls out there. You and I very suspicious of a lot of the – we're suspicious of everything after the last 4 years. We don't buy that anything is credible till they prove it's credible to us.
Mm-hmm.
But you had Atlas Intel that was right there, spot on.
Yep.
They were spot on.
Yep.
And Rasmussen on the popular vote is right now just off 1/10 of a point, right?
Yeah. Well, the Mark Mitchell posted that the popular vote now is up to 3.2.
Oh, 3.2, so 0.2 of a point then. Okay.
Right. And he was saying you can stop counting now because he jokingly posted those results yesterday. You can stop counting now because he didn't want to get it too far. Because he made the point on his X page yesterday that if you didn't include Texas, they would be close to zero flaws in their polling.
Right.
He said, Texas kind of threw it that way.
But let's not nitpick. That's as close as you can get.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. If he said he's going to win by 3 and you had 3.2.
There's a margin of error for, it's now the margin of error at the Des Moines Register is 97. But no, I mean, if you look at the average margin of error, it's usually between 2 and 4 points on any given pollster. And
this is 0.2 of a point.
And this is 0.2 of a point for Rasmussen reports with his margin of error on that was 2.
What I want to see, because and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the Democrats are just going to double down on the insanity. I expect that they will, and will the media do the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see, now that we've had a couple of election cycles where Atlas Intel and Rasmussen, and we'll see. We'll check on Insider Advantage, and then I forgot the other one. What was the other? Oh, Trafalgar.
Yeah,
and see and sit there and say, okay, what is the difference? So when we go into in 2028, you can sit there and say, look, these people have been wrong, a number of times in a row, and these have been right. And here's the reason why. Here's where they got it wrong.
Right.
I think a lot of people would be really interested in that because when we were doing the polls, I know I got some tweets saying, I don't give a damn about the polls. I just care about the election. Well, yeah, but that's the only indication that you have as to where the momentum goes, and that's how we view it. But if you look back now in the last 2 election cycles, you've got Atlas Intel and Rasmussen right there. I mean, dead on. As dead on as you can get it. They were right there. Why weren't the other pollsters?
Right. And that's it. And Mark could make that case, especially this go-around, repeatedly throughout this campaign season about the transparency there at Rasmussen Reports. And, he was saying, look, you're not going to see the transparency with other pollsters. And there's a reason he kind of went on about that. And you can follow him on social media and find out more about that. But the point is we've been asking that question. Look, you change your methodology, you adapt, you want to be accurate, don't you? Or are you in it for something else? Are you trying to manipulate behavior? By the way, is Ann Seltzer? Is she proving what many believe liberal pollsters do? They put something out to motivate people. That's what she came up with.
Yeah.
Hey, it was accurate then, and then it motivated people to get out and vote for Trump as a result of that because they didn't want him to lose. I don't believe that, but it shows you that's what she thought of.
Yeah, that was the first thought that came to. Yeah,
liberal pollsters, many believe, will, and I subscribe to that to some extent, to a large extent, that they absolutely believe it's their job to manipulate people. So why does the data or methodology matter?
By the way, that didn't happen.
What?
Her explanation of
no, we don't buy that for a second.
I don't buy that.
But it's where her mind went on her excuse. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. And the methodology at Atlas Intel and Rasmussen Reports for this cycle, spot on. In fact, second cycle in a row of a major election. So why can't everybody do that? Because there's other motives involved.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Drivers must always be prepared for a roadside inspection. This means drivers should always have their personal, vehicle, and company credentials organized and ready, and having any shipment paperwork such as bills of lading or hazardous materials shipment emergency response information organized and ready for the inspection official. Just an FYI, the top 2 violations written against drivers every year, as well as during Operation Road Check, are log general form and manner and log not current. Both are completely avoidable if the driver keeps the log accurate, compliant, and current at all times. Having the vehicle ready for inspection involves the driver conducting daily inspections and making sure any problems that are discovered are immediately corrected. Vehicle readiness also requires the company to make sure that the vehicle is current on all scheduled maintenance and that the maintenance schedule is adequate. This will make sure the driver is being given a sound vehicle to start with. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I'm sorry, I had to go on the Babylon Bee, and I know we read this one the other day from the Babylon Bee. Democrats call for abolishing the popular vote. The other one I saw was Rosie O'Donnell. We've got to get rid of the Electoral College.
Yeah.
It's
not even a factor this time.
And then the other guy, the one guy that I saw, this one viral, I'm leaving the United States and going to Hawaii. That was the best one yesterday.
I love it.
But getting back to the Babylon Bee, the one that you pointed out to me, now you actually have to see the picture, but it says emotional President Biden dedevastated over Kamala loss. He's got a big smile on his face.
Standing at the podium, a huge smile. Yeah.
What was the other one the other one that I saw that was just great? Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Remember when we'd always get this, don't you understand the Democrats are playing 3D chess?
Yeah.
You don't hear that anymore.
No.
The Democrats are playing 4D chess. Democrats admit Trump actually won in 2020 and is now unable to serve a third term.
It's got Nancy and other Democrats standing at the podium. I love that. Great stuff at the Babylon Bee. Wow. They must have had so much fun post-election over the last couple of days. That must have been a blast.
Yeah.
I would love to get a bowl of popcorn, and just sit in the room as their writers are working.
The one I like, and I expanded a little bit, President Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, and Kamala call for a peaceful transfer of power to Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, exactly. I alluded to that. I knew I'd stolen it from somewhere. And if you're going to steal from the best. But yeah. I alluded to that earlier. But wow, spot on over the Babylon Bee. That's funny. Funny stuff, man. And must have been a blast writing it. Look, we're not forcing the Democrats and the liberals to react the way they're reacting or act the way they act. But we'll have a good time with it. By the way, if there's any joy in the Kamala campaign, it's the liberal left's reaction to her losing.
Well, there is going to be, I think, a circular firing squad. I mean, you see it already.
Yeah,
I'm reading this here from Breitbart. Democrats rage at George Clooney for pushing Biden out following Trump's blowout victory.
Yep.
Quote, it's all his fault.
Uh-huh.
Clooney is being attacked by angry fans in the wake of Harris's humiliating defeat in the 2024 election campaign.
Wow.
After the actor demanded that Biden step aside in her favor.
Yeah.
He penned that op-ed piece in the New York Times in July where he called on Biden to abandon his presidential campaign, writing, "We are not going to win in November with this president." He continued, "This is not only my opinion. This is the opinion of every senator and member of Congress and governor that I've spoken to in private." The lifelong Democrat called the party to find a replacement candidate. He later praised, I just love how the way Breitbart wrote this.
Yeah.
Clooney later praised an obedient Biden for being selfless when he announced that he would be stepping aside on July 21st, leaving Harris to embark on the fated 107-day campaign to try to overcome Trump. Critics are now offering their sarcastic thanks in the way of Harris's demise. They did go to social media and all the comments there.
Mm-hmm.
Someone bring me George Clooney. We need to have a talk.
I love it.
Oh, my. Another critic observed, I would like to take a moment to thank George Clooney for shoving the most incompetent candidate down America's throat to ensure a Trump victory.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
That was hashtag MAGA, so that was...
Yeah. Wow. Yep. Look, it was bound to happen. It's and that's basically the blame game now that will shape up. And the response is, what you hear there is Biden could have won. And nobody thinks that Biden could have won more than Biden. I'm waiting for him to say it. I don't think he'll say it before January 20th, but he might. Somebody's got to ask him. You know the liberal media, at some point between now and January 20th, because it'll probably be in the final days, right, of his presidency. A sit down, one last sit down with President Joe Biden as president. And it will be, well, you won in 2020. Do you think you could have won against Donald Trump?
Oh, that question is going to be asked.
It has to be.
I think it'll be asked to Green Jean-Pierre.
I think it will be, but I think there will be some kind of sit down with Biden one-on-one. I don't know who will do it. And then, but whoever's doing that interview will ask that question. And the answer will be from Joe Biden, well, yeah, of course I have confidence I would have won. And then you can't really get out of that. And what he's saying is, I had a better chance of winning than she did. And, that's the whole basis of the joke there at the Babylon Bee, and something we've been saying. His legacy is going to be, I could have won. I could have won.
I just see, since they can't change their opinion and they can't change identity politics, they've got to be attacking each other. The circular firing squad is going to be, it's not going to go anywhere, but they're going to be attacking each other. And one of I mentioned the article I read in National Review yesterday that was talking about the fact of there really isn't this incredible outrage like there was in 2016 when he was elected.
Right. No.
And it's like, the circular firing squad is so huge right now against the Democrats on this.
Mm-hmm.
And with Trump promoting the things he's going to do, you don't see the normal outrage.
Right.
The show that never stops. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Curley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. Thank you for being here. You had Barry Weiss that was on Fox News. Barry Weiss from the Free Press, former New York Times writer, really was one of those involved in the Twitter files, and a former Democrat. I wonder if she ended up voting for Trump.
That's a good question.
I wonder if, because remember she said, I'm considering voting for Trump. Lifelong liberal. But I really think that one of the things that changed her, Schellenberger, Matt Taibbi, that really sent them over the top, I really believe that once Elon Musk put them in the Twitter files and they saw how the government, the FBI, was basically embedded with surrogates inside of Twitter to censor it and control the flow of information, I think that shocked the living hell out of them.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think they were visibly, I get that especially from Schellenberger and Taibbi.
Right.
That they were not, again, I've heard her talk, but they just seem, when they talk about it, to be just absolutely blown away. That's something that they never thought they'd ever see in this country ever.
Right.
And whenever they speak about it. And, you know, those are the kind of things, as I said, this election for me was the weaponization of government and the lawfare.
Yeah.
The Democrats wanting to turn the United States into a banana republic and come up with trumped-up charges and jail your opponents. That's what it was. And then the weaponization of government. And we always give the example, there's various examples, because the weaponization of government is what we saw with the FBI and their surrogates inside of Twitter, but also the rot inside the FBI, the rot inside the intelligence bureaus, the 51, the fact that we now know without question the FBI knew that the laptop was Hunter Biden's laptop, and they hid it, and they did everything they could to shut down the New York Post and the New York Post from promoting an absolutely true story. And then what's his name, Jake, from that became part of the administration. I can't think of his name.
Oh, keep wanting to say Jake Tapper.
It's same with me. But the fact that he coordinated the 51 intelligence agents to put out that lie that this was basically Russian disinformation. That blew my mind. But I think it also blew their mind too. Jake Sullivan, yeah. And then when it got to the weaponization of government, I'll never forget watching the FBI whistleblowers testify.
Yeah.
And when the FBI whistleblower said, we had it when we were going to school parking lots and taking down the license plate numbers of parents that were there because a young woman had been raped, a student had been raped in the bathroom because they allowed a transgender in and the school board tried to hide it.
Yeah.
And there they were in parking lots, the FBI. No jurisdiction there whatsoever.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
And then when that National School Board Association came out with the letter to the Department of Justice, that these people need to be called domestic terrorists.
Yep.
And the Department of Justice, well, we had nothing in it. Yeah, stop it. You sent FBI agents to mark down the license plate numbers of parents in there trying to keep their kids safe. What the hell is going on? That's why I voted for Trump in this. That was the number one reason I voted for Trump in this election. Everything else matters too, but that was number one.
If we don't solve that, then nothing else gets done.
Right. But here is Barry Weiss yesterday talking about the election.
How can progressives win again? By looking at what went wrong here, by taking this moment and allowing it not to be a retrenchment of the idea of, half of Americans want a fascist regime. They don't. They want a good life for themselves and their families, and actually looking in the mirror. It turns out that running on these extraordinarily niche issues like gender fluidity or defunding the police or any number of things that people in places where I live get extremely excited about don't actually matter or frankly feel profoundly out of touch to ordinary Americans. So if progressive is about these niche issues that you find on college campuses and in gender studies department, and you want to keep doubling down on that, you're going to continue to lose.
And that's what we saw in The View. They're just absolutely doubling down that everything is racism, that now blacks and Hispanics, doesn't matter. If you don't agree with us, you're a misogynist, you're a racist, you're a sexist.
Yep.
Let's go to this Democratic strategist. I just can't think of her name at the moment. Oh, I got it here. Hang on. Julie Roginski, who was also on CNN yesterday. She's a Democrat strategist about what went wrong.
No, I'm going to speak some hard truths to my friends in the Democratic Party. This is not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Kamala Harris's fault. It's not Barack Obama's fault. It is the fault of the Democratic Party in not knowing how to communicate effectively to voters. We are not the party of common sense, which is what the message that voters sent to us. For a number of reasons. We don't know how to speak to voters. When we address Latino, and language has meaning. When we address Latino voters as Latinx, for instance, because that's the politically correct thing to do. It makes them think that we don't even live on the same planet as they do. When we are too afraid to say that, hey, college kids, if you're trashing a campus at Columbia University because you're unhappy about some sort of policy and you're taking over a university, and you're trashing it and preventing other students from learning, that is unacceptable. But we're so worried about alienating one or another cohort in our coalition that we don't know what to say when normal people look at that and say, wait a second, I send my kids to college so they can learn, not so that they can burn buildings and trash lawns, right? And so on and so forth. When we put pronouns after names and say she, her, as opposed to saying, you know what, if I call you by the wrong pronoun, call me out, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But stop with the virtue signaling and just speak to people like they're normal. There's nothing I'm going to say to Michael that I'm not going to say to you, that I'm not going to say to somebody else. I speak the same language to everybody. But that's not what Democrats do. We constantly try to parse out different ways of speaking to different cohorts because our focus groups or our polling shows that so-and-so appeals to such and such. That's not how normal people think. It's not common sense. And we need to start being the party of common sense again. Joe Biden is not responsible for that. Neither is Kamala Harris. It is a problem that Democrats have had for years. I've been banging the drum on this for, I don't know how, probably 10 years, if not longer on this. We need to get back to being the party of common sense, that people look at us and say, we understand you. We appreciate what you say because you speak our language. And until we do that, we should stop blaming other people for our own mistakes.
Now, she's wrong in a couple of areas.
Yeah.
For example, when she says, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris aren't to blame at all. Of course they are, because
they had a huge part in it.
Right. They're the ones that expanded. They're the ones when he came into office.
They're the party leaders.
Right. That's where he came in and said, okay, I'm going to allow all this to happen.
Yep.
So, of course, they're to blame for it. What I thought was interesting, she said normal 3 times, that Democrats don't relate to normal people.
Right.
Which means they're weird.
Right.
There it is.
Right.
Settled.
Exactly.
There you go. They're weird.
Proof.
That's my big point for the night.
Look,
they're weird.
If you take your overall observation here, it's again taking note of where they are, but also I would disagree with her. Well, I would say, and she's saying they should do these things. I will say they can't. You can't unindoctrinate the masses. And the moment you start saying this out loud, you're now the oppressor, and you know how this works because you weren't saying this before the election.
Right.
Had she won, you'd be saying we need to be doing more of all this, and we need to ignore the normal people. Well, it doesn't work that way. It's like, oh, sorry, my bad, when someone gets caught. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Actually, you probably did that deliberately. Well, now the Democrats, a handful of them, are saying, well, what we need to do is, no. You were part of, you didn't say that before the election.
Also, when she said we didn't communicate effectively, actually you did.
Oh, yeah.
You communicated to the American public that your party and what they believe is bat soup crazy insane.
Right.
You effectively communicated the message.
Yes.
You've got the wrong message is what you have.
Exactly.
It's not that you didn't communicate it. Of course you communicated it. That's why you lost.
Right.
And you say, well, we weren't clear. Well, then you communicated confusion.
Exactly.
You communicated not confusion. What you actually communicated is to the American public is you actually are radicals and you're trying to pretend that you're moderate and you don't know how to convince the American public on it. So you don't do interviews. You stay away from press conferences. If somebody does a follow-up, you get angry at them.
Right.
And then you decide, well, really, we won't do any interviews until we find ourselves so far, behind in the polls. And then when you do the interviews, you don't know how to answer because you can't tell the American public, this is what I truly believe.
Exactly. So is she saying we need to lie better?
Yeah.
We need a better liar that could make us look more moderate? Or are you saying we need to tell the truth about how radical we are?
Because nowhere in there does she talk about where they actually stand on the issues.
Exactly.
It's always like, well, it's everything surrounding. Here are the major issues, which is the cake, and the decorations aren't right. The decorate, it's not the actual cake itself. It's the decoration.
Second cake reference, by the way, of the show this morning.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
The candles are crooked a little bit. That's what
exactly.
That's what it is.
That's
Look at that.
the
Look at
problem.
that frosting. You didn't put it on exactly right.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with
Now,
it.
we made a garlic flavored cake,
Right.
but that's not the point.
Right, the cake stinks.
Exactly. What we need is better icing on the garlic flavored cake.
They can't. None of them are able. They hit part of it. She hit part of it when she said we're not the party of common sense. Yeah, because you're nuts on the issues.
Exactly.
But the fact is, they really don't get the fact that they have to change where they stand on every single major issue and really mean it.
Right.
And everybody knows they don't mean it.
Right.
And there's no way they can back off from identity politics.
Nope.
They can't.
Right.
It's who they are. Everything is about you're a victim. Well, that's when you start dividing people.
Yep.
You're a victim. That's the oppressor.
Yep.
Oh, we need more victims. We need more oppressors.
Right.
And as now blacks and Latinos are finding out, now you're the racists and you are the misogynists.
Yeah.
Because you dared to disagree with the insanity of the party that claims that they care about you.
Well, even in her attempt, when, talking about using a wrong pronoun or something, okay, go ahead and correct me, but stop with the virtue signaling. No, it's the virtue signaling that builds the fear in everyone and changes the entire language of how people talk. This is
right.
The entire point of why they're doing it.
Yeah. The entire pronoun is about virtue signaling.
Exactly.
They don't get it.
No, they don't.
Just don't get it.
They still don't understand. They know they did something wrong, but they still don't know clearly exactly what they did wrong.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. J.D. Vance should do all the Sunday morning news shows again.
I'd love it.
I just want to see Ms. Welker.
Yeah.
And
and
her face be as tight as what's his name in Men in Black? The alien.
Oh, yeah.
Because her face, she gets so angry, you can see her face, and her skin just tightens up.
Right.
There's like rage in there. She's got to be raging. So
Oh,
I
my
would
gosh,
suggest J.D. Vance do all the Sunday morning news shows.
I'd love it. I'd love it. Well, gee, Gary, now I've got to watch this Sunday morning news shows this week because now I'm very curious. I was going to sleep in a little bit after, the entire election season, but actually this would be the one to watch.
Well, they've
The
had
reaction.
It's going to be great because the panels on all these shows, after 4 or 5 days to think about it, will they come up with anything better? Except everybody's a racist.
Or,
Everyone's a racist now.
Or why? I
they were
who knows?
They're searching for that woman.
Oh, the one in the car?
No. The one in the raincoat from 2016.
Oh, okay. I was going to say there's one from TikTok this year.
Yeah.
The woman, she's screaming why.
Yeah, they're trying to find the one in the yellow raincoat.
Okay, all right.
To see what she thinks now.
Oh,
there's a search out for her.
Right. Wow.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.